about emotionally unavailable people, right? These people, I have some notes here. When I was analyzing these people, they usually live in the past mostly, okay? And when you live in the past, you live in lower energies because you're not living presently, right? Because if you live in the present, you'll be more at a higher vibration and a higher frequency in your life when you live presently, versus when you live in the past, you live in regrets, you live in sadness, you live in depression, you live in, things that leave you in a lower vibration, okay, with lower frequencies in your life. All right. And people who are very anxious are people who have a fear of the unknown, if that makes sense. People who are very anxious have fear of the unknown, so they try to control so much in their future, but they're not living present. Regardless, you can live in fear and try to control your present. Regardless, those are things that show that you have emotional problems as far as how to control yourself, how to be in more alignment with the present moment, all right, which shows your inner strength. So a lot of people, I feel as if, they're not self-assured, and that could be in career, that could be in love. They're not sure of self when it comes to those categories, which makes them emotionally unavailable. And a part of being emotionally unavailable is, that song by Lil Baby, yeah, I'm tired of being tired. That part of me didn't die. So it's a part of you that has to die in order to, be new, which is in the present, which is letting the past go, letting the fear of the unknown, of the future go as well, because those things we can't control. We can only control ourselves and how to improve self so we can be more self-assured, right? So yes, most people, they live in the past, or they live in, an anxious spirit because they try to control, but they live in fear. And that's back to being emotionally unavailable. Is really just living in fear in any type of way. When you're depressed, you're sad, you're unfulfilled in life, you deprive yourself, which is because you live in fear. You don't step into those fears. You let those fears become you. You let those fears be ahead of you instead of be behind you. Okay. So what else we got? I wrote down here, it says, time heals all wounds. That saying is not true. What you do in time is what heals that wound. Because the only reason why that is a wound, and some of you guys might be looking like, what do you mean a wound? That thing that you need to improve in your life because you're unfulfilled, you're unsatisfied, you're not happy about it. You live in the fear of the unknown. You're anxious about it. You could be depressed about it. You know what I'm saying? You depriving yourself, because they say self-love cures self-hate. So that's a lot of things that people need to think of. Self-love, because self-love will cure self-hate, and it will allow you to move forward. It will allow the flow to happen naturally. A lot of people try to control things, but you cannot control. You have to allow yourself to be in your own control so that you can move forward in your life. So we're trying to, take away from lower energies, and that is self-hate most of the time. So with that being said, I had a lyric from a song. It was by Young Blue, I think that's his name, featuring Drake, and it was talking about this line here. It says, pretty face, pretty tempted. Well, pretty taught me ugly lessons. Pretty had me giving more than I was getting. For some people, I feel like it's about not being so superficial, okay, in life. The pretty on the outside, but not the pretty on the inner side. We want to work on our inside, that self-love, because we want to cure that self-hate about us, right? Those things that we hate, that we don't, that we lack, that we have a lack of emotional fulfillment in, okay? Because some people, we get to this point where we're unfulfilled with it, so we're defeated. You know what I'm saying? We come to this self-defeat, this depriving of self. Some people, we overgive too much, where we self-sacrifice, we self-limit, we do things to self-hate, right? So we want to work on improving those things in our life. And a part of that is being present. Okay, I want to show you how the present moment helps you become more aware. Because in our mind, we have the conscious, the subconscious, and the unconscious. And most people don't realize that subconscious, that in between that conscious and unconscious is that subconscious, which is about our foundation, our roots. Okay, getting down to the roots of our problems. What makes us emotionally scarred or emotionally unavailable? What is that wound that we still haven't healed, we still haven't improved? Why is this wound continuing to keep reliving in certain aspects of our life? Whether it's career, whether it's love, those things still live there. People are like, what do you mean? Well, let's think about it. If I don't feel good enough in a relationship, I'm not going to feel good enough in my career. I'm going to always, search for that greed mentality where I'm never enough, so I have to make it enough or keep, I'm never going to feel like enough is enough. But a part of that is feeling full in self. Because once you feel full in self, you'll be self-assured. You'll trust yourself more, right? But if you feel like you're never enough, you're never going to be enough. And you're going to do so many things to be enough to get approval outside of you when the approval comes inside of you. Okay, you filling yourself up first. And that's what I want people to understand. That emotionally unavailable spot of you needs to be full, needs to be available. Okay? Not unavailable, but available. In a way that you can get to it. The way that you can pour into it. The way that you can improve into it. So this is about working on your insides to figure out what your needs, what needs are not getting met in your life. So when you figure out ways to improve that, you can become more present in your life. All right. And also, when I was doing this video, I got the number 333, which talks about alignment, talks about your inner strength, mind, body, and spirit. Once these things are aligned, once your mind is aligned with your body, with your physical actions, your spirit can show that, can present that. Okay. Attitude is the product of belief. And I found that out, and I was just like, what do you mean attitude is the product of belief? If I believe in myself, if I train my mind, if I go beneath the surface of the things in my life that may stop me, keep me stagnant in certain type of ways, I can find room to improve, to heal, to renew my perspective of how I see things so that I can move forward, so that my mind and my body and my spirit can move in that way. That is the attitude part about it. But most people don't work on that belief, that mental. That's why they're not in alignment with their present, because it's the inner strength that shows the strength in the person. It's not the outer strength, because as you can see, you could have a pretty face, okay? Because like I said, pretty face, pretty tempting. Well, pretty taught me ugly lessons. Yes, pretty is going to teach you very ugly lessons if you're not pretty on the inside. And you're only as pretty as you treat people. So if you treat people ugly, you're ugly on the inside. And that's facts. You have that self-hate about you. You don't have self-love about you because you are emotionally unavailable for that self-love. That cup that you have to pour inside of you first, which is the room to improve, the room to heal those wounds that are beneath the surface. Okay? So when I did this post, it was a question as far as, what was the question? I think it was about, let's talk about those emotionally unavailable people. Well, we talked about them, right? So figure out ways where you may be emotionally unavailable as well in your life. Are there ways where you're depressed, you're sad, you're unfulfilled, you deprive self, you live in fear of the unknown, you try to control everything because you're so anxious of the future? Do you live in the past a lot? Do you live in low energies a lot in your life? Are you not self-assured? Because if those are the things that you may display in your life where you feel like you give a lot and you don't receive a lot, is because you don't give to self. Because you're still at a lower energy. And once again, everything's an energy. If you're at a lower energy, you're going to meet lower energies. But if you're at a higher energy, you will attract higher frequencies in your life. So that's all I'm trying to get you guys to understand, that if you improve on self can attract more things in their life because they're self-assured. They're sure of self. They know that security comes from self, not from things outside here. because that's too materialistic, that's too artificial, that's that greed, that's that material being, you know what I'm saying? That's that material world. When you are sure in self, other things outside of you don't give you that approval. Other things outside of you don't give you that approval. You know what I'm saying? When you're sure of yourself, you live in your truth, most likely, because you live with purpose. You understand self because you're self-assured. You're attuned with your highest good, your highest love, your highest judgment. I tell people that have a lot to say about other people, think about what they say about themselves when no one's around most of the time. They have harsh judgment about themselves. And yeah, you'll never, know it, but deep down inside, how you treat people, like they said, you're only as pretty as how you treat people. So if you treat people ugly, it's only displayed, you know what I'm saying, right back at you. That's why people are here on this earth. That's why we meet people, connect with people, because people are supposed to teach you things about you. If you meet a person that's emotionally unavailable, well, there's parts in you that could be emotionally unavailable. Yeah. Once you sit there and think, you be like, well, I do hold back a lot of communication. I always feel like I'm not being heard. I'm always feeling sad or unfulfilled or deprived, or, you know what I'm saying? I always feel these things. Well, you know why? Because you are emotionally unavailable too. You only attract what you are. So once again, if you want to attract positive, you gotta be positive. You gotta be you don't supposed to look for the person you want to be with in life. You're supposed to become the person you want to be with. So if you want somebody that is emotionally available, become emotionally available yourself. Okay? Improve self. Be filled with self, because you're only going to attract people that are unfulfilled with themselves, and then you're going to try to control that anxious part, you know what I'm saying, that fearful part, them, and try to change them. When you're assured with yourself, you're going to meet and attract people that are sure with themselves. A lot of people get in relationships that are codependent and dependent. And codependent is the energy of both of you guys depending on each other to make each other feel better. Independent is when one person is depending on one person to make them feel better. But at the end of the day, you can never depend on anything outside of you to make you feel full. We get back to that all the time, because that leaves you at a lower vibration, because you need something to make you feel full instead of you supplying that for yourself. You know how they say, if you do it yourself, it'll warm you twice. Versus if you wait for somebody else to do it, then it's going to be, you know what I'm saying, it's going to take time. You got to wait on them to die. You got to go through all these complications, because when you do that, you allow insecurities, you allow fears, you allow, you know what I'm saying, all these things in. When you allow all that space, when sometimes in life you got to understand that you have to fill your cup up first, because you'll never be satisfied. You'll get into relationships after relationships after relationships, and they'll all feel the same, because once again, there's our wounds that are still on you. Because a lot of people don't understand, you carry bags every relationship. If you don't drop off that bag, which is that wound, you're only going to obtain more wounds until these wounds become too big for you, and you realize that I'm emotionally scarred. I'm emotionally scarred. I'm never enough. I'm never satisfied. What am I self-hating about myself? What am I doing that? Why am I doing it? Why? Because I'm letting time go by. Because that method of time heals all wounds was planted in my head, telling me that time heals the wounds. If I just move on, it'll be okay. No, they didn't tell you that you had to stop and drop off that bag, chop off that wound, heal that wound. They didn't tell you that. They told you to continue to keep going on with life. Don't worry about it. Jump into the next relationship. Don't work on self. Don't take time for self. They didn't tell you that. They just told you, find somebody else. That person wasn't it. They didn't tell you that you're creating yourself to be emotionally unavailable in the long run. Okay? They didn't tell you that you're holding back emotions. You're not letting things flow through you. You're not in alignment here with when it comes to your strength, when it comes to your mind, body, and spirit. You're not aligned. So when you're not aligned, you can't be able to create, because 3 is the number of creation, of abundance. And 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 6, which is harmony, balance. All right. Let's see. I know I talk, you guys, but let's see. To close this message off, Spirit, give me something to tell these guys to close them off here. All right. So we got 3 things here, you guys. Individuality. All right. Ownership. Once again, it says ownership. You acknowledge your misdeeds and accomplishments alike and learn to love them all as lessons. You take accountability for self-love so that you can cure self-hate. That's what ownership comes in. Okay, individuality. It says you leave your unique stamp on love on everything you do. You need to understand you as an individual so that you can leave your stamp, your influence, your love, your purpose on everything you do, because you want to live with purpose, you guys. And a part of that is knowing your purpose, being self-assured. We also got virtues here as well. It says you acknowledge your loving spiritual attributes that encourage others to grow. Okay, so with that being said, you understand things. You find patience. You know how they say patience is a virtue? Yes, you find understanding of self, patience of self, okay, so that you can encourage yourself to grow. But once you encourage yourself to grow, they say, don't say it, it's a ripple effect, you guys. When you encourage yourself to grow, you encourage others to grow. You know how they say it starts with the man in the mirror? It always starts with the man in the mirror. It never starts nowhere else. Being satisfied is not going to start anywhere else but with you. Okay? So if you want things to grow in your life, work on yourself, improve self. If you want, real improvements in your life, work on self so that you can be self-assured, self-secure, so that you can attract higher frequencies, because you're at a higher vibration of self. You want to go to higher levels. You don't want to be at a lower level anymore. You want to feel full. You want to feel full. So stop breadcrumbing yourself. Okay, stop getting breadcrumb either or. You're only depriving self at the end of the day. If you're deceiving self, if you're not living in truth, you're living a lie. So yes, you guys, I'll see y'all soon.